Hello and welcome to another episode of RentReady with Stephensons, where we discuss the general application, the operating procedures, and safe handling of our tools and equipment. Today, we're going to be discussing our series of gas-powered trash pumps. Here at Stephensons, we carry three different sizes of the gas-powered trash pump. We've got our 2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch. The 2-inch has the capacity to handle 3/4 inch solids. The 3 and 4-inch have the capacity to handle 1 1/4 inch solids. The volume of water pumped is depending on the head, but on average, you've got the maximum capability of the 2-inch pumping at about 200 gallons a minute, the 3-inch at about 400 gallons a minute, and the 4-inch at almost 600 gallons a minute. Our series of trash pumps can be used in multiple different situations. They're typically used on construction sites, pumping out ponds, creeks, or even pools. Some things to take into consideration before you use a pump is any environmental impacts. On a construction site, it may be necessary to use a filter bag. And then when pumping out a pool, a lot of municipalities require you to pump into your regular drain and not a storm drain. So let's take a look at our pump end of this unit first. And just so you know, the 2-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch are all exactly the same, just different sizes of intakes and discharge. So first we've got our intake port and we've got our discharge port. We've got our primer cap. On the front, we've got our pump casing cover. And on the bottom of the pump casing cover, we've got a drain plug. If we go ahead and open the pump casing cover, we can see that we've got the impeller on the inside, and this is where any debris is going to build up. Sticks, twigs, twine, anything you might suck up through the hose. On the pump casing cover, you've got two gaskets. You've got one along the front side here and another one here. If you're having a difficult time getting a prime on the unit, these O-rings could be damaged. So let's go ahead and take a look at the engine side of our pump. On the 2-inch model, we've got a 5.5 horsepower. On the 3-inch, we're going to have an 8 horsepower. And on the 4-inch, we're going to have an 11 horsepower. All three engines run exactly the same way. We've got a fuel switch on the bottom. We've got a choke switch. We've got our throttle lever. And then we've got our recoil handle. On the side of the engine, we're going to have our on-off switch. On the top of the unit, we've got our gas tank and gas cap. So let's get the pump set up and ready to use. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at our intake hose, and we're going to make sure that we've got the right basket on the end. So I'm going to be doing some clean water pumping today, so I'm using a clean water basket. If I was pumping anything that had debris in it, I would have a basket that's got 3/4 inch holes, which matches the 3/4 inch capacity of the pump. If I was using a 3 or 4 inch pump, I'd be using a basket that has 1 1/4 inch holes. Simply going to thread that onto the end of the hose, nice and tight, and then we're ready to go. Next, we're going to take our cam lock. We're going to make sure that we've got the tabs open. We're going to slip that over our cam lock, pull back, and tighten it up. Once it's tightened in place, we're going to go ahead and put the retaining pin in, and that's going to keep it from accidentally popping open on us. So next we're going to go ahead and hook up our 2-inch discharge hose to our discharge side of the pump. Again, the same rule applies, tabs open, and then we can just tighten those up and go ahead and put our retaining pin in so it doesn't pop open on us. Now that we have all of our hoses connected, make sure the basket for your intake hose is completely submerged in the water source you're going to be pumping. We're then going to go ahead and remove our primer cap. We're going to grab a bucket of water and we're going to fill the pump casing. You're not going to be able to fill it all the way. It's going to stop at the bottom of where the intake meets the pump casing. Go ahead and replace your primer cap, remembering to make sure that you've got the rubber O-ring. We don't want any air getting into the pump casing or we're going to have a very difficult time getting a prime. We're then going to go ahead, turn our on switch to the on position. We're going to turn our fuel line on and our choke on. We're going to make sure that our throttle is in the middle setting, and we're going to go ahead and pull the recoil. Once a unit starts, you can go ahead and turn the choke off. You can throttle the unit up and pump at our maximum capacity. Once we're finished pumping, we're going to want to lower the throttle down, turn our off switch off, and let the unit sit for 15 minutes before we disconnect any hoses. Once our hoses are disconnected, we're going to go ahead and drain the pump casing like we showed you earlier in the video. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Rent Ready with Stephensons. You're now ready to rent one of our trash pumps. But remember, before you start any job, please stop, think, and then act.